is Felix Manzanares? Well, everybody in Cayman Islands know me now as Pastor Felix. And that's true. I'm a youth pastor and I enjoy my work. But I play different roles in the community. I'm a community activist, I'm a father of two, and a husband of one, hallelujah. And I just love to work with people. People needs just come to me. I don't know how, but they just come, and I feel that as an obligation, to help people, to not just give them money or those things, but there are a lot of people that need help. I grew up right in Sound Road and North Sound Way. My grandmother, my grandfather, and my mom, they raised me, come from an extended family. I'm in my early 20s, and also I'm married for the past 4 years. In fact, this month I celebrate my 4th anniversary. Being a pastor, you're aware of a lot of problems, you're aware of a lot of situations, you're aware of a lot of issues that you don't really hear about the press. People have confidence in you, and you kind of say, wow, there are a lot of hurting people, there's a lot of issues that are not being covered, and so that's why I'm so happy to be a part of the conversation, because here's the conversation is using this opportunity to really cover the stories that people are not covering, talking about things that people don't really want to talk about but should be talking about. On Friday night, you can find me here acting a fool in a good way with a group of about 50 to 60 young people who sometimes drive me crazy, but I love them to death. And in my position there, I see myself as more of like a father figure and a big brother to them. I do also a lot of one-on-one counseling. There's a lot of young people, especially like in Eagle House, in the prisons, and the alternative education, that a lot of the parents call on me, and I said, okay, well, how can we work with these young people? How can I give them some hope where in the back of their mind, the decisions they have made, sometimes they don't see no hope in it. I think it's a great opportunity that I have to work with the conversation, to use this as a platform to get people in my age group thinking and solving some of these problems, and make them think about how can I assist, how can I help, how can I leave an imprint on my society and make it a better place than what I found it. I'm just thankful to be used in my country to encourage, to inspire, to strengthen the community of the Cayman Islands even more.
This is a 1952 General Engine block machine, is what it's called. It was the second block machine that we had. Our business started in 1946. I worked for the Flowers-Burke group, and it's kind of a funny story because my grandpa actually got this machine because he wanted to build a house for my grandma. And at the time, all the houses were kind of made out of, wood and sort of not concrete materials. And he loved her so much. There's this cute little love story. And basically, he wanted to build her. Back in the day, you had to have a house to put your wife in. You couldn't just marry a woman. So, she was quite an eligible lady back in the day. And he said he wanted to put her in the best house that he could build, and that's when he started building this house. And it was concrete blocks, and he literally would build after work because he had a truck and he used to truck things by that time. After work, he would do one block at a time. It was all done by hand, and he worked for, I think it was years, literally, until he got enough blocks to build her this little house. And so that's kind of how we started making concrete blocks originally. This is actually our second machine. Our first one was smaller, and it was in 1946. So he decided to start doing this, got this little machine, and that's how we started a block factory, essentially. And now we make this one, I think the daily capacity was like 200 blocks, and he would hand press them after work, way into the night, as the story goes. And now I think we have capabilities that we can make over 28,000 blocks a day. So we've definitely sort of grown up a little bit over the 63 years we've been here. We went to True For You school when I was young, and then I moved to George Hicks High School. It had just became George Hicks. It was Cayman Islands Middle School, and I was like, I think I was one of the first years in that transition. So I went to George Hicks High School, and then I went to John Gray. Both very amazing experiences for different reasons. I think coming from like a tiny little private school, religious private school, and going to George Hicks was a little bit of a culture shock, and I didn't, because everyone had known each other. Like they all came from like Georgetown Primary, like Bodden Town Primary, like they all had their little cliques. And so for me it was harder because it was like I didn't know anyone from before. Everyone from True For Youth went to either Triple C or one of the private schools. So that was an interesting experience for me. But I think like I did make friends. We had tutorial groups. And my best friend, who is my best friend to this day, Keisha, and I, the first week of school we got in like a huge fight. Not a physical fight, but like a domestic, because it was kind of like two divas, like, you know, who was gonna win. And we were so stupid. We like were 12 or something, and we were fighting over some ruler game or something. And like I found out she was born in June, and she found out I was born in June. And literally, for whatever random reason in our 12-year-old minds, we were bonded for life. And like, she's a huge part of who I am, I think, as a person, and just she kind of showed me the ropes and like introduced me to people and just made me understand like a different side of like Cayman that I wasn't really exposed to, because I feel like I had a more sheltered, like, you know, stay home type of vibe. And it was really cool, and I had a great experience at George Hicks. I had a great experience at John Gray. I use this stuff. So the water's a completely separate facility and it's all clean. You can't like just walk in there and stuff. So. And this is our foam plant over here. It's indoors because it's more technical equipment, and we do a lot of shapes and things. It's more computer-based than the block factory. So, I don't know, this is where we make the magic happen, I guess you could say. It was hard. Like, I came from a background where my dad had very zero tolerance for bad grades. Like, you could not come home with a B, like, get out my house. Not get out my house, but like, he was very hard on us. He was very hard on me specifically. For whatever reason, he felt like, you know, if you can do it, if you have the capabilities, you have to work hard. And like, many a day of my life growing up was defined by Saturday math lessons, and like, you know, I didn't have a lot of I didn't get to party, I didn't get to go out as much as I probably wanted to, but I think it instilled something in me. And even when I went to college and you sort of have the opportunity to do, I went to college in Los Angeles, like you have the opportunity to see everything you can and party as much as you want, and I still like, that work ethic followed me, and it made me realize like, really, life is about hard work. And you can say, oh, well, you grew up like this and you didn't really have to work, you had a family business or whatever. Like, I'd never thought like that ever. It never occurred to me that like, you know, somehow you should have things handed to you. It was always like, if you don't get the grades, if you don't do what you have to do, like, you don't deserve these things and you can't expect them. And I think it's translated down through my family. I hope to inspire my kids and have that instilled in them. Hi Gideon, how are you? Did you get those pictures taken yet? Are you going to get them? I don't know, maybe this is, I always consider myself to be the problem solver because my dad's slightly radical, and if like, just his personality, he's really high strung, and he's the MD of the business, he's the managing director. And so I'm always kind of like trying to mellow him out, or like trying to create some relationship that he's somehow gone crazy, and you know, so I try to like work with people and be like the good cop, I guess. And then, so, you know, I have my moments too. I think everyone does, but I try to be, you know, I try to be like the glue, I guess, is a good way to put it, like for the business, just making sure like any little hiccups or problems we have, like I can help with them somehow, because I love people, I love working with people, I love anything to do with staff. I'm like about it. It definitely changes everything. Do you guys want me to go and walk around, or like, okay? It's kind of a pity. Well, if it was running, you couldn't hear anything, so it's kind of good because the block factory is really, really loud. It's not the most glamorous job, but you know, it's fun, and it definitely changes everything. It is hard to make it, but it's not just hard to make it in Cayman. It's hard to make it everywhere, and I think the formula that, I mean, I think on some level, like, circumstance played a very big role in my life. Like, I came from sort of a family that were really hardworking people. Like, anyone who ever met my grandfather, who unfortunately is passed now, like, the ethos that he grew up with was one of hard work. Like, he was a laborer, you know what I mean? Like, he came over from Jamaica when he was 13 and worked, I think he worked in the Marins, like when we had Marins grocery store as a bagger, and then he was a yard man, and like, you know, he grew up from very, very humble beginnings, and like, he always had a sensibility to that and understood that the only formula for success is hard work. There's no magic, there's no secret. It's dedication, determination, and hard work. And sure, you need a little bit of luck and a little bit of circumstance, but I think if you don't, you know, take life by the horns and really try to like work hard. There's no magic to it. There's no magic to anyone's life. Like, whatever you want to do in life, you want to be a filmmaker, you got to go out and bust your butt and do everything you can to be a filmmaker. If you want to be an accountant, like, you got to go through school and get your CPA and do well. If you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, whatever you want to do, you got to be the best at it. And like, I think he instilled at us in a very young age, like, you shouldn't just think about being the best in Cayman, you should think about being the best in the world. You know what I mean? And like, you may never get to live your life on a global scale, but you know what? You gotta treat your life like that. Like, you're the best of the best. And I think that's important.